Picture this. You're out with a girl you actually care about. The conversation feels easy. The energy between you two is alive. And somewhere in the middle of it all, a thought crosses your mind. This might be the right time to kiss her. Then, before you can even act on it, your brain starts working against you. What if she moves away? What if you've been reading this completely wrong? What if this turns into the most uncomfortable moment of the night? That internal spiral is where the whole thing falls apart for most guys. Not because they lack the ability, but because they've spent the entire date doing nothing and then try to bridge an enormous gap in one sudden, jarring move. That leap from zero to everything in a single second is exactly what creates tension, strangeness, and missed moments. What we're going to walk through here are 4 smooth, natural methods for building toward a kiss in a way that feels easy and unforced, plus a bonus approach that can actually result in her making the first move herself. The most important thing to wrap your head around is this. The kiss itself is not the climax. It's just the final small step of something much larger. If you take care of the 99% that comes before it, that last moment basically takes care of itself. The first method is the greeting. It happens the second she arrives, and the majority of guys completely underestimate what that moment actually sets in motion. Before you've exchanged more than a few words, she's already forming a read on your confidence, your presence, and what kind of night this is going to be. Show up hesitant or overly formal, and that impression sticks. Show up grounded, warm, and clear in your energy, and everything that follows becomes far more natural. When you see her, don't pause to calculate anything. Walk over with a relaxed expression, hold solid eye contact, and go in for a real hug. Not a stiff lean or a quick shoulder pat, but an actual present, intentional embrace that lasts just long enough to feel genuine. That single moment of physical contact dissolves the awkwardness and establishes a tone of comfort before the night even begins. As you step back from the hug, say something simple that signals your interest without overdoing it. Skip the generic "you look nice" and skip anything that sounds rehearsed or desperate. Keep it calm and matter of fact. Something like telling her she looks really cute tonight. Said the way you'd say something obvious, not the way someone says something they've been rehearsing. Then move forward immediately. Suggest you grab a seat, mention you heard good things about the place, or say you're ready to head out. No lingering pause, just forward momentum. Compare that to the alternative. A guy shows up, gives a flat hey, maybe a weak handshake or no contact at all, avoids her eyes, and dives straight into filler conversation. That start creates a hollow foundation, and you spend the rest of the night trying to recover from an impression you never needed to make. The greeting is not just a formality, it's your first step in the entire sequence, and when it's done right, it carries confidence, warmth, and intention all at once. The second method is gradual physical contact. This is where you begin building a sense of physical ease between you two, but in a way that feels completely woven into what's already happening, rather than like a move you're executing. The goal isn't to touch her. The goal is to make touch feel normal, so that closeness becomes part of the dynamic instead of something that stands out. If she says something funny and you both laugh, a light tap on her arm in that moment feels like a natural reaction because it is. If you're walking together and you guide her through a doorway or across a busy street, placing your hand briefly on her back for a second or two fits perfectly in context. If she's showing you something on her phone, leaning in so your shoulders graze isn't a move, it's just proximity. Here's another simple example. You're playfully disagreeing about something and you go for a casual high five, you hold it just slightly longer than you normally would, you smile and then let go. That small extension shifts something in the dynamic without making it feel heavy. Or you're mid-story, sitting beside her, and you briefly touch her arm to land a point, then pull back, light, quick, natural. The important thing is that you're not stacking every possible moment of touch. You're just weaving these small instances throughout the interaction so that physical contact becomes part of how you two communicate. When you're doing it correctly, she'll begin doing it too. She might touch your arm when she laughs, lean into you while talking, or nudge you back during a playful exchange. Those signals tell you she's comfortable and that the energy between you is good. Timing matters here more than technique. These moments work when the interaction is already flowing, when you're both relaxed and engaged. If the energy feels quiet or rigid, forcing touch will make things more uncomfortable, not less. Always let the interaction lead and use physical contact as something that grows out of the moment, not something you're engineering into it. The third method is closing the physical distance. Now that contact has been established and comfort is building, the next step is letting proximity increase gradually throughout the date. This is where many guys go wrong. They keep things politely distant the entire evening and then, at the very end, try to collapse all of that distance in one sudden move. That abrupt shift is jarring for both people. Instead, closeness should creep in slowly and feel like a natural result of the night progressing. One of the easiest ways to help this happen is through environment. Sitting side by side at a bar or on a bench makes being close feel normal. Sitting across a wide table builds a kind of invisible wall. Walking together is especially effective because movement naturally draws people into closer proximity without any manufactured reason. While you're walking somewhere together through a park, between spots, across a crowded area, your shoulders might brush or you might briefly take her hand to guide her through a tight space. Small moments, but they shift the physical relationship in a meaningful way. Even if you've started the date sitting across from each other, look for chances to change that. You might casually suggest she comes sit next to you because it's more comfortable, or propose moving to a different spot for dessert, which creates a natural reset in positioning. These little transitions make getting closer feel like a product of the evening rather than a deliberate strategy. You can also use conversation itself to shrink the distance. Leaning in slightly when you speak, especially with a softer, quieter tone, changes the entire atmosphere between you two. If there's background noise, leaning in and asking her to repeat herself gives you a natural reason to stay close for a beat longer than usual. Even without noise, leaning in to say something low and playful pulls her into a more private register. That combination of nearness and eye contact transforms the conversation from casual to intimate. Once that shift happens, the next step forward feels easy and completely organic. The fourth method is the pre-kiss. This is the step most guys skip entirely, and skipping it is exactly why they find themselves frozen when the moment comes. There's been good energy, proximity, some touch, but when it's actually time to go for it, the gap still feels enormous, and the pressure to make a perfect move stops them cold. The pre-kiss exists to remove that pressure by giving you one smooth, lower-stakes step right before the real thing. Rather than going straight for her lips, you go for a slow, intentional kiss on her cheek. But how you do it is everything. This isn't a nervous, rapid peck. It's calm, deliberate, and unhurried, about a second long. It should feel relaxed, not like you're rushing through it. Imagine you're sitting close together. Maybe you've just shared a laugh, or the conversation has landed on a quieter, more connected moment. Eye contact holds a little longer than usual. You lean in slowly, kiss her cheek softly, then draw back. But not all the way. You stay in that nearby range, and then you read what happens next. If she smiles, holds your gaze, glances at your lips, or tilts toward you even slightly, those are your signals. At that point, you're already right there. There's no dramatic move left. Just a small, easy shift into the actual kiss. It flows because you've already closed the gap. If instead she turns her head a little, breaks eye contact, or tenses slightly, that isn't rejection. It's just information. She isn't quite there yet, and that's completely fine. You ease back into the conversation without making anything of it. Keep the tone relaxed. Maybe tease her lightly and let things continue to develop. You can always return to that moment later when the energy feels right. If she pulls back slightly from the cheek kiss, you might just smile and say something like, "You're trouble," and keep talking as if nothing unusual happened. That's what keeps the whole thing smooth and confident. What makes this step so effective is that it eliminates the all or nothing pressure that comes with going straight for the kiss. It gives you a way to test the moment, receive real feedback, and continue building without anything feeling forced or awkward. Now for the bonus technique, the tonal shift. This is about changing the register of the interaction. Most guys maintain the same energy from start to finish, same volume, same pace, same casual register throughout. But connection deepens when the mood shifts. When you move from lighthearted and fun to something quieter and more charged, it creates a different kind of atmosphere entirely. Lower your voice a little. Slow your words down. Hold her gaze a bit longer than usual. Let a calm, quiet smile settle in. Instead of making a loud joke, you pause. Look at her and say something soft like, "You're actually trouble. You know that." Just that shift alone can change the entire feeling of the moment. Think about how tension builds in films right before two people kiss. Everything slows down, gets quieter, becomes more concentrated. That's the atmosphere you're creating deliberately. When you layer this on top of being physically close, with the light touch already established and the pre-kiss done, it often leads to her leaning in on her own, or making it unmistakably clear that she's ready. When you bring all of these together, the strong, warm greeting, the gradual and natural touch, the slow closing of distance, the soft and intentional pre-kiss, and the shift in tone. You don't need some perfectly timed last-second gamble. Everything has been building the entire time. By the moment the kiss actually happens, it doesn't feel like a decision you made. It feels like the only thing that could have come next.